All right, I got my third IRONMAN 70.3 coming up in Tri-Cities. I did this race a year ago, and then this season I did the Boise 70.3. Now I'm gonna go back and do the Tri-Cities. So since I was there, I think I dialed my gear in a lot more, as well as my nutrition. So I'm gonna go through each leg, explain what gear I'm using, why I'm using it, and what I'm doing to fuel. So to start, for my tri-suit, I have the Roka Aero tri-suit. This is the sleeveless version. When I was asking around about to get the sleeved or the sleeveless, I was told that the sleeveless was better for sunburn lines. With the long sleeves, they come down, they said they always got bad sunburns or sun lines. So I went with the sleeveless, and I'm happy with it just because a lot of my training is in 90 up to 100 degree temperatures. So it's nice having as much airflow as I can get. I know there's a couple watt difference with the sleeveless versus the sleeved, but nothing too critical that I'm chasing right now. So I'm happy with the sleeveless. The reason I like this one is I've just never noticed it. So I've never had it get in the way. I've never had it chafe. The two pockets on the back are really nice. I'm able to put my entire bike gels in this one and my bike kit in this, and then when I go for the run, I have plenty of room to put in all of my gels on one of the pockets. But yeah, never had an issue. Coming out of the water, it doesn't feel too heavy, so I've stuck with it. My first one I used for about 10 months, and then the seams started to bust out on it, and I sent a picture to Roka, and they sent me this brand new one. So really good customer service, and again, never had an issue with this one, so I'm sticking to it. For my goggles, I just have these Arena goggles. The reason I went with these is everything I saw online were people complaining about their goggles fogging up. So these goggles, if you rub on the front and the back, it'll reactivate an anti-fog layer. So I went with these. Honestly, I've not had a fogging issue. When I go to the pool, I'll dip them, rub the front, rub the back, don't have an issue. When I go up to the start line, I usually have my bottle of carbs or some water. I'll just throw onto it, rub them right before I hop up, and then I don't have an issue when I'm in the water for fog. So these are really nice. I'll probably get another pair after this season. You can see the chlorine starting to change the color a little bit on it, but other than that, really good goggles, mostly if you run into yours fogging up all the time. So for the wetsuit, I had this exact one for my last two. And the reason being that I got a new one is I went on a trip and I had it in the back of my pickup, and it must have got too hot. But when I got out of the pickup and took the wetsuit out, when I unfolded it, every piece that was touching just ripped. So I had a ton of holes. I filled them all, but it was looking horrible. So I had a buddy who had one, the exact same one that I was using that didn't fit him. So I got this off of him. Again, it's the exact same one, but almost brand new. He used it a couple times, a couple holes from the fingernails that he filled in, but nothing special. Kept it cheap on the swim side, but from the one that I have been using, I do like them a lot. For nutrition, when I'm walking up to start the swim, I'm going to have 60 grams of carbs in this bottle, and that will be the Formula 369. This is just a cheap carb mix. I tried the Martin. I tried a couple other, just like Gatorade, G1M, and I found that I like the Martin and the 369 the best. The reason I went with the 369 is it's a lot cheaper, and I wanted to be able to put in more than 500 milliliters of fluid in my water bottles on the bike. So on the bike, I wanted to use these bigger water bottles. I think they're 750 milliliters. And with the Martin, you are not supposed to go over the 500 milliliter mark, and it changes their gel technology when you do that. So if I was going to pay that much, I wanted to make sure I was doing the 500 milliliters. But since I knew I for sure wanted to have more fluid on the bike in a bigger bottle, I swapped to my 369, and it was cheaper at the end of the day. So that one is usually pretty nice on my stomach. Don't have too many issues. So I'll do 60 of that in here, and then I'll be taking a 32 milligram caffeine honey stinger. This will be as I'm walking up, get a little caffeine going right before I start. So that's all I'll have while I'm walking up. Coming out of the swim, going on the bike. I have these specialized bike shoes, nothing special. I'll probably update eventually to something a little bit lighter, but these have done its job. I'm not gonna wear socks for the race. So this winter I was training without socks. I saw the pros doing it, online, and I knew I was gonna eventually do a full Ironman. And when I did that, I wanted to have fresh socks going in on the run. So I could either have 2 pairs of socks and change at transition going into the run, or I could try out not having socks on the bike and then putting on a fresh pair right before I go on the run. So when I was on the trainer, I never noticed a difference without socks. So for Boise, I did no socks and I never had an issue with it, and I put fresh ones on for the run. So that's what I'm sticking to now. I have a S-Works TT helmet. This is the older version that I got off Facebook. I think it was like 100, 120 bucks. Pretty good helmet. One thing I have noticed is this is a longer tailed one. So in my pictures that I got back from my Boise 70.3, I noticed my head is staring at my hands a lot, which meant that my helmet position was up like this. So this big tail was kind of just a sail up in the wind when it's supposed to be more leaned back. You can adjust the headpiece in here to move it back and forth, but I have it maxed out so it's leaned back as far as it can, but I'm still noticing that I'm putting my head too far down in the position I'm at on my TT bike. So going forward, if I was gonna get another helmet, I probably wouldn't get the big tail. I'd try to find something more cut off and make it a little bit more aero. But other than that, it's been a good helmet. You got the removable visors that I like. So I got the tinted and the clear. I'm gonna bring both because it might be overcasty for this race. But overall, it's been a good helmet. I haven't had any issues other than it looked like it was sticking up in the air for this past race. So going on to nutrition on the bike, this is the big one. I'm gonna have 3 bottles total. This bottle is actually what I fill up my hydration system with. So I'll have this all set up at transition. I'll show up with 2 of these bottles of carbs. So these will be 3 scoops of 369, comes out to 90 grams of carbs. I'll take this bottle, fill up the hydration system. I'll leave this at transition. This bottle will be another 90 grams of carbs with a liquid IV. Also the one going on the hydration system also has another liquid IV. So we'll have carbs in the back, and then this one will be water. So in total, we'll have 2 bottles of carbs, 90 grams each, with a liquid IV in them, and then 1 of water. The reason I like the liquid IV is it gives me a little more sodium. It also changes the flavor up a little bit instead of just drinking the unflavored carb mix. I also get 2 different flavors of liquid IV. I found that if I do 2 of the same, when it's warm, I get a lot of flavor fatigue. So 2 different flavors of liquid IV usually makes it a lot better. And then I have the water in there every time I take a gel. So I'm gonna bring a total of 4 of the Honey Stinger caffeinated gels. Usually I'm shoot for 90 grams of carbs per hour. So my goal is to do 2.5 hours. So 90 grams would be the 2 bottles that I have, would get me to 2 hours, and I would have a half hour left over. So 2 of these is 50 grams. So that's right over the 45 milligrams that I would be aiming for. But I notice when I come out of the swim, my body is just itching for some nutrition. So I bring 2 extra because right when I get off the bike, I slurp 1, sometimes 2 down, and then I have 2 left over for those last 45 minutes. But that's what the water is nice for, is when I do take 1, sometimes 2, I can wash it down. And then sometimes when I'm on the bike, my body starts calling for water instead of that carb mix. So it's nice to be able to grab the water, put it down, mix up the carbs a little bit. And then with this, I never have to stop at an aid station. So I can go on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, depending on where the aid station is, miss it completely and just do everything on board and never have to worry about stopping or grabbing anybody else's nutrition. So that's what I do on the bike. For my back pockets, I also have this bike kit. It's just a tire lever, a tube, and then a CO2 bottle, just in case if I do get a flat, then I can hop off and fix it. But that will go in the back pocket with the gels of my tri-suit. Other than that, that's what I'm carrying on the bike. And then when I go into the run, I will grab my shoes. These are the Vaporfly 3s, I believe. Really like this shoe. It's a super fast shoe. I noticed my pace go up pretty significantly when I started using these shoes. They're really light and they don't have a lot of, I guess, stiffness around the ankle area, not a lot of support. So I do notice by the end of the race, my ankles are hurting just because they get slopped around a little bit versus the other shoes that I use for training. These just, you wobble around a lot more, but they're extremely fast and they do feel good. They have a lot of cushion on them. So I like these a lot. I'll pop these on for shoes. I grab my hat. I would just recommend a athletic hat, something that is meant to be sweated in, not just a ball cap. This BPN hat does really good at taking all the moisture and dispersing it out and not just having it drip in one place. But yeah, grab the BPN hat. I'll throw on these sunglasses. These are just like $20 sunglasses off of Amazon. They're Rock Bro sunglasses. These are my second pair. Had my first pair for I think a year and a half. Never had an issue with them. Brought them camping and I broke them in half when I set my bag down on it. But yeah, the lenses are nice. They're polarized. I don't feel bad when I get them all sweaty and clean them up. So super solid pair of sunglasses and they were nice and cheap. I just have a pretty cheap race belt off of Amazon. Again, nothing special. There's little notches in here for gels, which I never use. But it is nice having a race belt, just grabbing the belt with the bib already on it, clipping it on, and then you don't have to pin anything to your tri-suit. Don't want to put any holes in there, and it probably saves a few seconds trying to, get something attached. I can just grab this while I'm running and hook it up. So I'll have my bib right up front, and we'll just grab this when we go into transition. For nutrition on the run, I'm gonna put 60 grams of carbs in this bottle. I did this for the Boise 70.3 and it worked out really well. I just had a tiny bit left at the very end and it was a pretty hot day. And I was able to stomach all 60 grams of the 369, which was pretty impressive because my last race in Tri-Cities, I had just electrolytes in this and then I brought gels and I took one gel and that was about all I could put down. So I like putting the carbs in this and having it as a liquid. I am able to, actually consume something. I also am gonna bring 3 of the Honey Stinger gels. I did one on Boise. I was feeling like I could put a gel down and I did it and my stomach felt pretty bad after it. So I'm gonna bring 3 just in case. If my body says I can, I'm gonna try 2 and then I'll have 2 just in case. If not, it will all be just the 60 grams of carbs in this drink. I might put some blue Gatorade powder in here for some flavor. Blue Gatorade powder, for whatever reason, is something that I always feel like I want to drink. And that's pretty good when you're out doing these activities for this long. Not a lot of stuff sounds good. So putting a little bit of blue Gatorade mix in here usually lets me drink it faster. So I might do that. I haven't tried it out on the run yet, so it's not a great place to test it, is during the race. But if not, it'll just be the 60 grams of carbs like I did for Boise. So that is it for the nutrition and the gear. For the bike itself, I have the 2 bottle mounts on the back. I try to keep everything off the down tube and on the bike. I didn't want the gel holders up here. I just wanted to keep it as clean and minimal as possible. That's why the tri-suit's nice, to be able to stick everything in the back of me, have it behind the wind. So yeah, like I said, bottles in the back, hidden behind the back. Then I have this Profile Design hydration system up front. As you can see, it's a little angled up. I have the adapter as angled as it can get, but with the angle that my aero bars are, it does stick up a little bit. So it's not ideal, but it does work really good. On my last setup, I had my handlebars down further, so it was a lot more flat, but this works really well, and I ran it like this in Boise and didn't have an issue. But I think I'm going to get a new bike next season, since this is something that I really want to pursue, which is the reason why I'm not going crazy on the cockpit and trying to get the hydration system perfect. But it is, good enough and is really just a looks thing. right now. So other than that, this bike's been awesome. I bought it from a buddy for $600, and it had the old cockpit on it. So I put the brand new cockpit on it. I put the hydration system on the front and back, new tires. But other than that, the wheels, the drivetrain, the old Tiger drivetrain, everything was on it already. So I got a pretty good deal. Lots of labor at the bike shop though too, with going through the cables and everything, which what you get for an old bike. I think this is around a 2011, but it is fast. Right when I started, I was able to average about 20 miles an hour on it. So it was a pretty good bike for starting out. But now that I know that I want to go to the next level with all of this, I'm going to be looking for something a little newer, and probably have less cables and try to get everything, more straight, and a little more aero. But other than that, we're ready to go, and execute this race. So that's all that's left. Thanks for tuning in.